Okay, all you dusty guy and dusty gals, here we go with a corner cabinet. Okay, if you've got some cabinets and you want to get you a corner cabinet with a Lazy Susan or whatever, and you're coming up to a corner rather than just having a couple of square cabinets, you can put your corner cabinet in there. And you know, the normal, there really is no normal, but the big problem you have with corner cabinets is getting in to this area. And as I'll show you here in a few minutes, this is going to determine the size between from here to that wall and from this cabinet to that wall. And what it amounts to is it's a piece of, let's just say for right now, it could be 36, it could be 40, it could be 44, it could be 48-inch square piece of plywood of some kind. And then what you do is you cut the front edge off. Like that. And then of course the big problem you have is that anything that's bigger than 32 inch, or I should say 30 inches, you're not going to be able to get it into the kitchen, so you've got to cut the back off also. So you come in here and then that's what you have. And then this is that's a void area that you've got, and of course that can be for your plumbing, for your sink, or it could just be a void area altogether, but you'll have to put a couple of cleats against the wall the same height as the cabinet. That's beside the point of what we're talking about. What I normally do is, if the wider you make this, sometimes you want it a little deeper because your opening opens up a little more. So in this case, we have the opening, and going back 24 inches is really quite enough, because you can get through all the doors except for a bathroom door with this cabinet. Now the height of it is around 35 inches, so even if you turn it sideways, a lot of doors you're not going to be able to get it through there. So you'll have to remember that when you cut the front off, you need to cut the back off, because if you don't, the cabinet's going to be too big. You won't be able to get it in the house. You'll have to build it in the kitchen. And then of course, if you do that, then what you end up with is a black hole here in the back, because it's so far back there you can't even reach it. So what happens, a bunch of stuff gets back there, and that's the end of it until you move. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this here to here, 24 inches. And it doesn't matter, there again, it doesn't matter if it's 48 inches from here to the wall, or if it's 36 inches from here to the wall. It doesn't matter. Of course, the wider it is, the more it's going to open. But what you need to start with is you need to start with your detail of your cabinets, because they need to be the same distance. So in other words, you can't have one that's a different dimension as you can from the other side, because you come up with a crazy cabinet that you won't be able to fit in there. So figure out your cabinets, and this goes with the uppers also. You can do the same thing with the uppers, but now there's a different, as you well know, there's a different depth. They're all 12 inches upstairs, or up above I should say. But here we're going to do 24 inches, and then we're fixing to go outside to where I can show you the different dimensions that I've got. Okay, what I've got here is a layout on some plywood, and everything's marked off. I know this is going to be kind of hard to see because of shadows, but see, this inside line is the inside of the plywood, and the outside is the outside of the plywood. So in other words, when you cut your plywood, you want to make sure you cut on the inside line, because when you put your 3/4 inch on the outside, you're going to come out to this size. That's the reason for all these double lines. These are all the plywood edges, and the same with the front. We got the same thing. And then now we've got, this first line is representing the 36-inch square that we were looking at inside. The next one is a 40-inch, the next one is a 44, and the next one is a 48. And then what I've done, as we come down here, and the same thing, this is your stiles on the front of your cabinet, but you still have to have a 2-inch stile on the front of the cabinet. And the same thing with this side, 2-inch stile. Then you have your opening. This would be your opening. So on a 36-inch cabinet, and we've come back 24 inches, well really we come back 23.5, because you got to have a little wiggle room. 23.5, and then you could add 1/4 inch to each side with your stile material to make up that difference, and that way you've got something to plane or to sand down to make it fit, you know, a lot nicer. Because sometimes a corner cabinet, you really have a lot of moving around and adjusting to do. But in any case, so this is our side, 24 inches, because that is the depth of our regular cabinets, 24 inches. We can't do more. We could do less, but if we did less, our opening is going to be smaller. So we have 24 inches on this side. We come over here, we come back to this point right here, going that way, it's 24 inches to here. So our cabinet going back this way is 24 inches. So this set of cabinets would butt up against here, this set would butt up against here, and then you have your opening. Now this opening is 13.5 inches. And with a 13.5 inch opening, you know, that is quite small. So you're not going to get a lot of stuff in there. And then if you wanted to build a drawer bank, you subtract 2 inches from that, and then you're down to 11-inch drawers. And then also coming to the back, here's where we cut off that back section in order. Now we did this one 30. I think we did this one 30. Let me double check. Yes, we've done this one 30 inches overall, because we know that the house this is going to go in, or this is really not even going to go in a house. This is just a sample piece. But in any case, so we have a 30 inch, and this will fit through all the doors going through the house. So we have 36, 36. We got our back cut to where we have a 30 inch from here to the front, 24 on this side, 24 on that side. So, and then we'll cut this off and then build it here in a minute, so you'll kind of get an idea. But in any case, now let's go to, and the same thing applies here, 24 inches from here to the front, and this is our 40-inch piece. So 24 from here to the front, 24 from here to this front. We come across, that gives us a 19-inch opening. Okay, now if we did 44 inches, there again, 24 inches from the side to the front. Same thing over here, from the back to the front, it's 24 inches. But see, now that'll give us a 25.5 inch opening. Now we're getting to be an awful big cabinet here. which is really an overkill for anything. 19 is usually a good number because you can get almost anything in there. But I'm just showing you what you can do up to 48 inches. Now we go to 48. We come 24 over, or excuse me, I keep saying 24. It's really 23 and a half. Come over 24 inches. This one, 24, well, 23 and a half. But see, now that'll give us a 30-inch wide opening. And now how we get our openings is these 2-inch stiles, as I was saying earlier. See, this 2-inch stile is right here. Come over 2 inches from the edge of your cabinet. Well, really from the point that's going to be seen should be 2 inches. The overall would probably be about 2 3/4, maybe 3. So from this point to this point is a 30-inch opening. Now, only thing this would be really good for is a bank of drawers, especially if it's close to a stove or something, or a range or whatever. But now this is just me talking. 19 inches. That seems to be a fair amount of opening for just about whatever you need, and plus it makes a decent cabinet. And also the same thing applies to the depth. You want to make sure that you don't get this thing. I mean, if you come from here to that corner, that thing won't fit through any door. So you got to make sure you cut the backs down so that you can get these things through any door. Alright, we're going to cut this thing up. And before I do, let me show you this. We're going to cut to the inside mark. Once you know your overall of the cabinet itself, then you want to come in 3/4 of an inch or whatever material you're using. And then you want to cut on your inside line. Because if you don't, then your cabinet's going to be 1.5 inches bigger on all sides. Alright, let's get this cut.